Welcome back, Star Wars fans, to episode 51 of Reynolds Reviews, and on today's episode, viewers' questions for yours truly. Cue the march. Welcome back, everybody. Now, like I said in the intro, today we are going to do some Q&A from subscribers and viewers. Now, it's almost been a year since I've been on YouTube. It's been a great year. I've met some amazing people, and I just thought it was a good time to invite viewers and subscribers to send me some questions, anything that they might want to ask about me, about my collection, about my room, and I will answer them as thoroughly as I possibly can. So I've had a fantastic response. I'm really pleased with some of the questions, some fantastic questions. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so the first question is from our very own Tez at Reynolds Reviews and the Pala Boys. And Tez wants to know, what shops did I use as a child and what Star Wars stuff do I remember getting for Christmas and birthdays? Now, the disappointing answer to the second part of that question is I don't really remember getting much Star Wars stuff for birthdays and Christmas. We did get it, we got loads of stuff, but I don't really recall it. I only recall receiving a vintage Rancor one year, 80 whatever it will have been for Christmas. I remember getting the Rancor. But I don't really remember too much else, unfortunately. But the two shops we used to use mainly was a local family-run shop called Kirby's Toys. We used to use that every weekend. We'd go in there, we'd buy Star Wars, we'd buy Transformers. We even bought some Starcon. I don't know why we were buying Starcon, but I remember that. And that was just a local family business. That was a fantastic shop. But the main one we used to use was Woolworths. We had a local Woolworths till around 2010, I think. And as kids, their toy aisle was absolutely stacked with racks and racks, pegs and pegs of Star Wars figures. And every weekend we were allowed to go in there and get one figure each. Now, the frustrating part of that for my grandparents was we'd get one figure, you'd have that figure in your hand, but you had to look through every figure, didn't you, and make sure there were no hidden gems at the back. You know, you picked up a Lando skiff and there was a Luke Bespin at the back of one aisle, and you'd not found it. So I used to always have a figure in my hand, but then sieve through every other single figure until I was happy and satisfied that I've got the one I wanted. And my grandparents did sometimes get a bit impatient, but yeah, the two shops we used were Kirby's Toys and Woolworths. So the next question is from Chris Smith, better known as SmithLord1980, and Chris wants to know, have I collected my whole life, and did I experience the dark years where I stopped collecting due to various different reasons such as girls, college, drinking, etc. If only, Chris. The first part of that question is no, I haven't collected my whole life. I've only collected seriously for the last around 10 years. Rachel bought me my first item, which was a Force FX lightsaber, which led me to start looking for other lightsabers, so I ended up picking up some master replicas, which led me to look for something else, so on and so on until you see this room in front of you. So no, I've been collecting around 10 years. Did I experience the dark years? No, I didn't, because when there was no films being made and no toys sort of being released really, I wasn't really collecting at that point. They never really affected me, the dark years. I know there was no movies coming out, no toys released, but no, at that point I wasn't collecting seriously, so it didn't really affect me. So no, I've been collecting for 10 years and no, the dark years didn't affect me, thankfully. Okay, so the next question is from Tony, or better known as Yorkie Bespin. And Tony wants to know, Luke, where did you get your 1.1 Star Wars helmets from? What prices are they? What kind of helmets are they? And from what era? Great question, Tony. There's like 4 questions in one there. Okay, so let's start with part 1 of that. So mostly from eBay. Most of my purchases are from eBay. I don't deal with any Facebook groups or anything like that, so I get pretty much everything from eBay. What price point are they? Mostly around 100 and 150 pounds, somewhere flirting around there. I have got one, a Novos helmet, which was around 250, which is the First Order Stormtrooper just there. What kind are they? So they're a mixture of Black Series. Most of my helmets are Black Series, but I've got a few 2-part resin casts, one a Novos and one 3D printed helmet. And from what era? Well, mostly I've obtained every helmet, I think, pretty much in the last 6 to 7 years. I think Black Series started in around 2015, I think, but I've obtained most of them in the last 6 or 7 years. So yeah, mostly from eBay, usually around 100, 150 pounds price point. Mixture of Black Series, 2-part resin cast, and 3D printed, and in the last 6 or 7 years is when I've obtained them. But the interesting thing about these helmets is the two that you can see behind me, the AT-AT driver, the Inferno Squad and the Scout Trooper, I actually made myself. We used to buy raw cast helmets in their totally raw form, whether that be 3D printed or 2-part resin casts, And what me and my brother used to do was a little bit of a sideline until our supply dried up. We used to prepare them, repair them if they were damaged in any way, respray them, hand paint them, add the decals, add the eye lenses, any greeblies that needed, and then sell them on. But the Scout Trooper, the Inferno Squad and the Attack Driver are three helmets that I struggled to get. So when we received those, I made them for myself and kept them into for my own collection. So yeah, so in theory, the actual helmet I didn't make myself, but the Scout Trooper, the Inferno Squad and the Attack Driver, I did actually do all the work myself. So I'm really proud of those. They've got a special place in my collection. So yeah, that's the story of the helmets, Tony. Okay, so the next question is from Sean at SeanSolo8, and Sean asks, where did you see your first ever Star Wars movie? Now that's an easy one, Sean. My first ever Star Wars movie that I saw was Return of the Jedi in '86. I think I was just about to turn 7 years old, and it was in my cousin's bedroom. He was a bit older than us. He just turned 10 or 11, I think. And his parents had just bought him a TV and a video recorder for his bedroom. If you're in the US, you've probably known them better as VCRs, with a copy of Return of the Jedi on VHS, which I believe had just been released as well. So that was our first Star Wars movie. So we're all tucked up in his box bedroom, sat on the floor, cross-legged, and we watched Return of the Jedi for the very first time. And as they say, the rest is history. From then I was hooked. I think we watched it 3 or 4 times in the same day. The minute we saw that speeder bike chase on Endor and Luke's green lightsaber, the escape from the Sarlacc pit, I was absolutely hooked. So yeah, tucked up in my cousin's bedroom, age 6, watching Return of the Jedi. Okay, so the next question is from Chippo Calippo, and he asks, how do you balance your time between full-time work and family? How much time does YouTube take up, and how does it impact your day? It's a fantastic question. You know what? Monday to Friday, I mean, I do work full-time. I work 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. I am working at home at the moment, but generally I don't do any filming Monday to Friday. I think it would be really unfair on Rachel and Connor if I worked 9 to 5 Monday to Friday and then on an evening stopped and start filming videos. So I'll be honest, I don't do anything Monday to Friday, but I get up very early, I always have done, but by the time we get to a weekend, Connor's a teenager and also sleeps in, and by the time we get to Saturday, Rachel is pretty much done from the Monday to Friday grind, so she sleeps late on a Saturday sometimes as well. So I generally get all my filming done early Saturday morning. By the time people are staring and getting up, I've usually finished. I do everything on my iPhone, so it is quite quick. And then usually on a Saturday evening or Sunday morning I do all my editing. Again, I do everything on my iPhone. I've got no laptops or PCs with editing suites, so I am limited to what I can do, but I can do it quite quickly. So I think it's just a case of finding the time of the week of least resistance, the time of the week where it's going to inconvenience your family life as little as possible, and mine is early on a weekend. So the impact isn't massive when it comes to my time and my family, so I'm very lucky that way. That may change because I do have a Saturday morning job which I usually work, but at the moment due to the pandemic I'm not doing that. But yeah, my advice would be, if you do start a channel, just find the time in your week where it's as little impact as possible, and just try not to let it take over really. And if you do that, it can be done quite comfortably. So the next question is from our very own Mark, from Mark Shabby Geek and the Pala Boys. And Mark wants to know, Luke, if you could no longer collect Star Wars and had to collect something new, what would that collection be? Now, I'm assuming, Mark, you mean something that I don't already have, because there are things that I would jump back into more seriously if I couldn't collect Star Wars anymore. That would probably be G1 Transformers, but I do have a few of those now, so I'm assuming you mean something I don't already have. But I would like to get back into Transformers in a bigger way than what I am now. But if I had to collect something completely new and it couldn't be Star Wars, you know what? It would probably be Mask. I keep waiting for the reissue to happen. It's not happened yet. I keep telling myself, just wait, this reissue will happen. And then we saw that massive warehouse last year with all the Mask stuff in it, and I want to start buying Mask again. Wait for the reissue. It still hasn't happened. I know we keep hearing whispers that it's gonna, but if I'm honest, I'm tempted to pull the trigger on Mask this year. I'm still collecting Star Wars, don't get me wrong, that is my priority, but I'm sick of waiting for Mask. So yeah, Mask. I think I'm probably going to pull the trigger on vintage Mask this year if the reissues don't happen. Okay, so the next question is from Dan Denny, and Dan wants to know, a very simple question this one, Marvel Legends or G.I. Joe? Now, I don't have any Marvel Legends, Dan. I do like them, I think they look fantastic, and I am a Marvel fan, but I don't really feel I have a connection with them. A lot of the toys I buy because of a nostalgic connection to them, something that I had as a child, and Marvel Legends obviously weren't around then, so as much as I do like them, I don't really have a connection to them. Whereas G.I. Joe, I weren't massive into G.I. Joe as a child, but I did have a handful of figures. I think I had Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, which that was G.I. Joe Law, I think, wasn't it? You had to have those. But we only had a handful, but we did have some. We had, I think they were called the Crimson Twins. We had Quick Kick, Barbecue, and probably a few others. So I do feel, even though I weren't massively into them, I do feel that I've got a connection to G.I. Joe. So much so that I actually did pick up the reissue Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. So yeah, not a massive collector of either, but if I had to pick, it would be G.I. Joe. Okay, and the final question this week is from our very own John at the Super Awesome Geek Show and the Pala Boys. And John asks, what is the one item that you don't think you will ever own due to cost? However, if somebody was to give you it, you would cherish it no end and think every day how lucky you are that somebody gave you it as a gift. It's a fantastic question, John. I suppose the answer to that would probably be the Palatoy Death Star. Whilst I say that, I could possibly afford one. The reason why I say I don't think I'll ever own one is because trying to find one is a task in itself, but trying to find one you're never going to find one complete. If I was to find one complete, I certainly couldn't afford it. So you're always going to have to buy one incomplete if you're in my position. But then you're into the realms of, can you find one in good enough condition that you're happy to buy, and it then still being at a reasonable price point? That is the problem I've got. I do find a few Palatoy Death Stars, but they're always in condition that I'm not willing to buy them in. And if they are in good enough condition that I'm willing to buy, they are then usually too expensive. So whilst I could afford one, the challenge is trying to get one in good enough condition that I'm prepared to buy, that then is an affordable price. So for that reason, I don't think I'll ever own one. If somebody was to give me one as a gift, I'd probably be their friend forever. I mean, how could you not be? I remember, obviously, we saw it only the other day on Usual Mike's video. You only got to look at Shabby and how he reacts when he gets the Imperial Shuttle. I mean, that is what it would probably do to me. I couldn't imagine somebody giving that as a gift. But if they did, wow, I mean, I would be their friend for eternity. Unbelievable. So, yeah, great question, John. But yeah, that it would be the Palatoy Death Star. So there we go, everybody. Hope you found that enjoyable and interesting. If your question wasn't in this week's video, don't panic. I got such a good response that I've had to do it in 2 parts. So if your question wasn't in this week, look out for next week's. It will be in there. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, everybody. If you're new to the channel, thank you for giving me a shot. I really hope you'll consider giving it a like and a subscribe. If you're an existing viewer and subscriber, thanks for sticking with me. I really do appreciate it. As always, put any comments or questions in the comment section below. I pride myself on reading everyone's comments and replying to everybody. And as always, keep collecting, and I'll see you on the next video.